Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jack. I'm the founder here at Scenarios. We're a marketing agency based in London that helps e-commerce brands set up effective campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. This week's video is going to be slightly different. We're going to be actually talking about the new iOS 14 update that some of you might have heard of that's going to impact the way Facebook is able to track different metrics and report to advertisers like you and me when it comes to their Facebook and Instagram advertising. Those changes, to say the least, are significant and might have quite a large impact on your business, what sort of results you're seeing from your advertising. So I thought it's worth to create a video just breaking down what those changes are, how they're going to impact Facebook and Instagram advertising specifically, and what you can do as either an advertiser that advertises on behalf of your clients or as an e-commerce brand that's advertising consistently on Facebook and Instagram to make sure that you're able to adjust to those changes and make sure you understand how those changes can impact your business as well. So I've done quite a bit of research and I've compiled a list of 7 things that I want to talk to you guys about today. We'll go through them one by one, and I'm going to also show you a few things within the Ads Manager that you can do to make sure that your ad account, that your business or your clients' accounts are protected and have the best chance of continued success along with all of those changes. Just for a little bit of context, the update is called iOS 14. It's brought about by Apple to protect users' privacy, and what will happen for people who have the update installed on their devices is they're going to see a pop-up that asks them whether or not they want to opt into tracking from third-party applications like Facebook. And as you can imagine, a lot of people are going to choose to opt out of that tracking, and that's going to create many big problems for Facebook in terms of being able to continue to track and report different advertising metrics in the same way that it has been able to do in the past. What's going to happen as a result of iOS 14? Facebook has announced a number of changes, and what it expects is going to happen as a result of the update. Now again, because there's 2 entities, Apple and Facebook, not everything is crystal clear in terms of exactly what's going to happen and how that's going to reflect into your advertising, what sort of results you're seeing. But as I said, I've compiled a few things that we want to talk about. The first impact that you're going to see and that Facebook has announced is that we're going to see delayed reporting on ads for up to 3 days. So Facebook has been pretty good with their reporting recently. I would say from our ad accounts, usually we're able to see purchases that come in within the same day, of course, depending on the attribution that they're coming from. But now Facebook is saying that it might take up to 3 days with delayed reporting. And the way that can affect you as an advertiser or as a brand is that if you're making daily decisions about what sort of ads are working, what sort of ads are not generating purchases, you might have to let those ads breathe for at least 3 or 4 days before you're able to assess whether or not the ad is performing well. The next thing that Facebook has mentioned is that age, gender, region, and placement breakdowns will no longer be supported. So as you very well know, if you jump into the Ads Manager at the moment for any of your running campaigns or ad sets, you're actually able to see what sort of results you're getting from different age groups, different placements, different demographics as well. And Facebook is saying that this will no longer be supported. And the impact of this could mean, and I hope this is not the case, but it could mean that moving forward as advertisers or as e-commerce brands, you need to start splitting your ad sets with regards to age, as well as gender, as well as demographics, and as well as placements to come up with the highest performing, or to be able to test which one is working the best, I should say. And this would be very annoying. I hope that's not going to be the case, but we'll just have to wait and see. The third thing that's going to be very clearly impacted is the size of your retargeting audience will be smaller in some cases. So as you can imagine, with more people opting out of tracking, Facebook just won't have the data from a lot of users. So users might be visiting your website, they might be visiting your products, but because they've opted out of tracking, they won't show up as part of your retargeting audience. So the audience itself is going to be smaller. What does that mean for you as an advertiser? One thing you could perhaps do is, let's say part of your retargeting campaign is that you are running a retargeting ad for the people who've added an item to the cart within the last 14 days. What you want to do is perhaps make that audience larger, so in the last 28 days instead of 14 days. And that should mitigate that problem. The next thing I want to talk about is probably the largest change that's going to impact us as advertisers, especially with the results that we're seeing from our advertisements. Facebook is going to be moving from their default attribution window, which is 28-day click and 1-day view, to a 7-day click and a 1-day view. Now, I want to go into this in a little bit more detail. So for those who are unaware, the way Facebook actually attributes what sort of purchases come from different ads that you're running is through their default attribution window, which, as I mentioned, is 28-day click and 1-day view. And what that means is if someone viewed your ad and went ahead and bought that product within that same day, then Facebook would attribute that purchase to that ad. The alternative scenario would be if someone clicked on the ad and then purchased within 28 days of clicking on that ad, then it would also be attributed to that ad as a purchase. And so essentially advertisers had a 28 window between people seeing their ads and interacting with them and then going ahead and purchasing. And that window has been shortened significantly to now just 7 days. So as you can imagine, a lot of people who see your ads, click on them and purchase after 7 days will no longer be counted as part of your Facebook attribution, and they won't show up in the ads manager as part of the results you're getting from your ads. So how can you combat this? This is quite a big change. And so what I'm going to do is jump into the ads manager right now, and I'm going to show you how you can actually go into your ad account and compare different attribution windows to see what sort of discrepancy you're going to see from a 28-day click and a 1-day view attribution, which was the previous attribution that Facebook has, and what it's going to look like once they switch over into the new attribution model, which is 7-day click and 1-day view. So this is an ad account for one of our clients, and I'm just going to take you through how you can view different attribution windows and see the discrepancy between, as I said, the 28-day click and 1-day view attribution setting, which was the default for Facebook before this iOS 14 update, and the new attribution setting, which is going to be 7-day click and 1-day view. So as you can see here from our ad account, you can see that all of these purchases that we're getting right here are coming from the traditional default 28-day click and 1-day view, and Facebook just reports that without really telling us what the attribution setting is for that, because that's just the default setting right there. So if you want to actually compare attributions, what you can do is click on this detailed columns section, and what you want to do is click on compare attributions right here. So as you can see, include default attribution window, which is the default that I mentioned, 28-day click and 1-day view. And now we want to look at what that's going to look like and what the discrepancy we're going to see from a 1-day view and a 1-day click, 7-day click, and a 28-day click, just so that we can compare them all together. Again, the one that we're going to be switching to as a result of the iOS 14 update is going to be the 1-day view and 7-day click. So that's going to be the most important one to look at. Once we click apply right here, what you'll see is every single metric that you're tracking, whether it be add to cart, checkouts initiated, will be split into different attributions. And so the most important one that we're going to focus on, just for the sake of this video, is purchases, and that's I guess the most important one that you'd also want to focus on as well. So what you'll see here is for the purchases, you can see that this is the default attribution, which is again 1-day view plus 28-day click. This is just the view attribution, so 1-day view. These are the purchases that you've got from 1-day view, and these are the click attributions. This is from 1-day click, this is from 7-day click, and this is from 28-day click right here. And the most important thing to look at here is the discrepancy between the 28-day click, which is which is the default setting for Facebook and Instagram advertising at the moment, and how we can compare that to the 7-day click. So as you can see here, if we just take this top campaign right here, for example, in total from this campaign, we got 47 purchases. Now, where did this number actually come from? Again, that's the default attribution setting. It came from a 1-day view, so 9 purchases from 1-day view and 28-day click. and 38. So if we add 38 plus 9, we get that 47 total purchases. Now, as I said, as a result of iOS 14, we're going to be moving into a new attribution model, which is 7-day click and 1-day view. So instead of those 47 purchases that we've reported as a result of the campaign, instead what we will get is these 9, which are the view attribution, plus these 7 days. So it'll be 34 plus 9, which will be 43 purchases. So as you can see here, we're going to get a 4 purchase discrepancy from this purchase right here. Now, I'd love to show you the totals. For some reason, as you can see here, these results may have some differences in how they're calculated, so they haven't been added up. This is a part of what is happening with iOS 14, is that the overall results from the ad account are not being calculated at the moment as we move into this new update. But what you want to do is try to find out what the totals from your top campaigns are in terms of purchases, and what that looks like from a 20-day attribution window, and how that compares to from a 7-day attribution window, and calculate the percentage discrepancy. We've done that for most of our client accounts, and in most cases it was around anywhere between 12 to 18% discrepancy on the results that we were seeing. So just keep that in mind so that you can communicate to your clients, or even you as a brand, if your results go down by around 20%, you shouldn't panic. That's probably just a result of attribution and reporting, and nothing really new happened with the advertising results. Just to double check that, what you can also do is go into the back end of your Shopify and make sure that the revenues are still increasing by the same margins that they were before the update. The next thing that is also a concern for us as advertisers is that Facebook's conversion metrics will be limited to only 8 conversion events per domain. And as you very well know, the conversion events essentially represent the ones that you've just seen in the ad account, add to carts, checkout initiated, page view, purchases. It's essentially the events that you're tracking on your website and what's happening. Facebook is now limiting them to only 8 conversion events per domain. And this is not a very, very big problem if you're using the typical or the standard conversion events that come with Shopify or any other kind of e-commerce platform that are standard. You shouldn't worry about that, because you'll still get your purchases, add to cart, initiate checkouts, all the main ones will still be there. This is only a concern if you have custom conversions set up. I'm not too much of an expert when it comes to custom conversions, but I'll leave some resources in the description in terms of how you can change your custom conversions, and you essentially need to choose which ones you want to continue tracking and limit the total to no more than 8. The sixth thing that we want to talk about today is the Conversion API for Shopify. So as you very well know, there's 2 ways to track Facebook ads results. One is through the pixel, which is kind of the most common way, and there's another way to do it is the server-side API through Shopify directly. Again, I'm not too much of an expert on how the technical details of that works. What I'll do is I'll leave some resources for you down in the description on how you can set that up through your Shopify account, so that you can get reporting directly from the server side, and it can make for much more accurate results. The 7th and last thing that we want to talk about that Facebook has recommended quite heavily is for you to verify your domain. This is a very, very simple process, and I'll jump into the ad account right here and show you how you can do that for your business. So now that we are in the ad account here again, what you need to do is go to business settings down here, and what you want to do is scroll down all the way to brand safety right here, and then you want to click on domains. And once you click on domains, as you can see here, our domain is verified, status is verified, and what you'll see is an empty sheet with a button that says add. All you need to do is add your domain, and you need to add different CNAME records to the back end of your Shopify to verify your domain. It's a pretty straightforward process, and Facebook will take you through multiple steps to go through it, and then once that's done, your domain is verified, and it's a set it and forget it thing. You don't have to worry about it, but I do strongly recommend that you do it as soon as possible. And if you have any client accounts that you're working on, do advise that your clients do the same for their domains as well. And there you have it, guys. Those are the 7 things that I wanted to talk about today in terms of the iOS update and what things that you can do to make sure that you are ready for the changes. We talked about delayed reporting, age, gender breakdown, the size of retargeting audiences, the changing of the attribution window, the fact that there's only going to be 8 conversion events per domain. We also talked about the Conversion API, which is the server-side tracking as opposed to direct pixel tracking. And the last thing we talked about, which is really, really important, is to go ahead and verify your domain. I know this video hasn't been like our typical videos where we go into a lot more detail in terms of advertising, but I did think, as I said, that this video is very, very important to make. It's very important for you as a brand owner or as an advertiser to stay on top of these changes that are implemented by Facebook. But I also would like to say that you shouldn't panic. A lot of people are claiming that this is the end of Facebook and Instagram advertising. That couldn't be farther from the truth. We've had many similar changes like this in the past. If you recall the 2018 GDPR scare, which also had very similar and severe changes, but Facebook ads is still working and it will continue to work in the future. All you need to do is make the changes that I mentioned today in the video, and I would advise you to do your own research as well to make sure that if I missed anything, to look into it yourself and understand what adjustments you need to make that are best for your business. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe for more content on paid advertising, and I'll see you guys in the next one.